Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm 10 Types, as always, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Yep, I'm here feeling a little under the weather, so you may have to carry us more than usual. And anyway, we'll see how that goes. But I'm looking forward to our topic today. I think we're going to talk about we are about 2 weeks away from Journey Together and rotation happening. So we're going to be saying goodbye to the entire Sword and Shield era? No, what's it called again?
Yeah, I guess so. It's not
Era.
block. Block is like the year,
No.
essentially, so I guess era.
Or is it a generation?
Oh, yeah, generation is probably the best term for it. And we're losing the last year of Sword and Shield. What's it start with the F
Brilliant
block?
Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah, the F block, yeah.
And so that's like something that's kind of interesting, and we are getting new cards. We're entering the I block or something.
Yes, the I block, the third year of Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, kind of, because we also have the mega stuff, which is interesting. But anyway, that's not for today's video. So we're talking about. Oh, also, I'm not feeling 100%, so hopefully I'm feeling fine, well enough. But yeah, so we're talking about the best card from each Sword and Shield expansion, each main expansion. I think the mini expansions are weird. For example, Shining Fates is a mini expansion, and most of the cards are reprints, so it's like, how do we count those? And it's kind of weird. So we're talking about each of the 12 main expansions. There's 4 each year, 3 years, and this is how good they were throughout their history in Standard. Not now. Obviously, a lot of them aren't legal now, so it doesn't really make sense to talk about those that way. And then the ones that are currently in Standard, we'll take a look at them. Obviously, how good they are in Standard, but how good they were previously. Also, this is only Standard, not other formats. That doesn't matter too much for most of these cards, but yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and thinking about how they were over the entire course, right? Trying not to avoid recency bias. It can happen to all of us. One of the things is the D block and the E block overlapped with the GXs, so some things were better with the GXs. Obviously, the D, E, and F were all together without any GXs or EXs, and then the E and the F block have overlapped with the EXs. So that kind of shapes, some things were better with other Pokemon in the format or worse depending on it. So, we'll keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, but as you said, they were in together some, but none of them were entirely with either the GXs or the EXs, because as you said, there was a time when they were all legal, and only those were legal. There weren't any EXs or GXs. But anyways, let's start off with Sword and Shield. I'm here on Limitless, so I can see all the cards, and wow, there's a bunch, and I guess I can't see them all, most of them. But I'll start off with, how do we want to start off? Do you want to go in order by like type or whatever?
I think just kind of scrolling through. The first one I have is Water type. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cards in Sword and Shield. So to me, it's the Drizzile and Teleon with Shady Dealings. I think those were very good. They weren't good. It's so good when they first came out. It took like some cards coming out later to bump them up, I would say. But still, obviously, very meaningful.
Yeah, if you use, and the ability, because I imagine some of you are not familiar with it.
Yeah.
You said Shady Dealings, but what it does is you search for the Drizzile, the stage 1 on play from hand. You search for 1 trainer put into your hand. The Inteleon, you search for 2. They're kind of like knocked out. This was an engine that, as I said, it got better through the printing of some other cards and rotation of stuff, things like that. And so, yeah, it's very similar to Knocked Owl. It does not require any Terra, but is a little weaker. The stage 2 is the same power level as Knocked Owl. The stage 1 is weaker, and obviously still a stage 1.
Yeah, I would say it's not today's debate, but I would say this is better than Knocked Owl because it wasn't restricted to Terra, and because of one of the cards we're going to get in the next set. It was reusable. So, but that's neither here nor there. Then the next Pokemon I have is a Metal Pokemon. I don't know if you have something you want to toss in before then.
Yeah, I'll toss in some Darkness ones. I'll toss in Galarian Zigzagoon, I guess. Sailevy is cool, but Galarian Zigzagoon on play. This one's kind of like Hawlucha. It's actually like almost identical. On play from hand, you place a damage count on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Hawlucha is 2 on 2 of your points bench, or 1 on 2 of your points bench Pokemon. And so I'd say this is better than Hawlucha. Comparing these doesn't really matter. But this card was pretty good. It was like decently versatile. It was decently strong. I opened up Limitless. This has been played a lot. With Scoop of Net. Scoop of Net's the card you're alluding to earlier, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But Galarian Zigzagoon's a pretty decent card. It's not going to win. I don't think Inteleon's going to win. But it's a quite strong card.
Yeah, and I played a lot of Eternatus, so that played a lot of this because you need to get a whole lot of cards on your bench. So
Yeah, I don't. It
makes
didn't always
sense.
play it though, and it didn't play. It didn't like play four of it. I think you played four of
Mm,
it, but that
No,
wasn't
you
necessarily.
play a couple usually because you need to fill up the bench, and getting that little extra damage obviously is a plus. So, and
Yeah.
then did you say Sable IV or no? By
Yeah, I
the way.
mentioned it. I didn't talk about it, but
So yeah, that was good. Well,
it's fun.
it wasn't good. It was a trap, right? You could play it and have some fun with it. It's a V. It only had 170 HP, so super low HP. It's the HP of a support Pokemon, but it's an attacker, so that means you're just getting blown up and giving up. You'd attack, but you give up two prizes instantly. It's Crazy Claw's attack for two darkness. You had to get damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon, so you had to do work to set up. It was kind of there were certain box style decks that would play it, and this would be a late game attacker. I would say.
Yeah, and funnily enough, the Pokemon the Pokemon that set it up were actually Inteleon, a different Inteleon, and Glaring Zigzagoon and Scoopnet. So yeah, it's a fun card. Wanted to mention it. There are some other fun cards that are of a similar tier,
Yeah.
but we're not going to mention them. This set has so much stuff. If you didn't know, so this is the Sword and Shield base set of the Sword and Shield era, which gets like so it doesn't have like a sub name, unlike all the other sets. So and these sets generally have the best trainer cards this will get to and like staple cards. So for example, Scarlet and Violet base set actually has some of the same cards. I think it has Professor's Research, Nest Ball, Arvin, uh, Pokegear, Energy Search, Energy Retrieval, Pal Pad, things like that. And so this set also, excuse me, also has those, and also has good Pokemon. So it just has a lot of really good cards.
Yeah, now this set is stacked. So, although there's some other sets that have a lot too, but the next one for me is Zacian V, which was a great card. I think this potentially could be the number one card. It was great with one of your favorite cards, ADP. You could play with Luke Metal other ways as well. So it's got two things. It had an ability to trap its sword. You drew three cards. You could accelerate what I believe as many metal energies as you wanted that you hit, and there were things in format to help
To itself.
to itself. Sorry, and there are things to help with that a little bit there. And then it did 230
Oh,
for
sorry. The
three.
ability ends your turn. You didn't say it. It's like Rotom V,
Oh,
but a
right,
little
it ended
better.
your turn. Right, but it was also an attacker, so it did the 230 for three energies. Couldn't attack the next turn, so 230 was a very big number to do back then. Basically, you were wiping out all of the basic V Pokemon, I believe, at that time. So, as well as any of the basic the GXs, not the tag teams. So, a great setup card, a great attacker. So just really good.
Yeah, Zacian V is amazing. It's one of the best attackers of the Sword and Shield era. Um, it might be the best, to be honest. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's really strong. Its ability is really good. Rotom V is like really good in standard right now. It's not like absolutely insane in any deck, in every deck or anything like that, but it's in quite a few. And Zacian V's support aspect wasn't used. I mean, it was when you if you're a deck that attacked with it, you'd use it. But it wasn't really used as a support piece in that many decks. Going through, it was using Blacephalon some, but you had other like strong support Pokemon that were kind of similar. I don't know if I'd say similar, but like the Dynamax GX is really strong and takes up a bench slot. So yeah, Zacian V, if you're not sure of like how good the ability is, it's good, but I wouldn't. It's not like a staple support ability.
No, you used it in decks that attacked with, and you take advantage of the ability, especially if you went first. You would end your turn that way for sure. So really, like I said, really good. And then worth mentioning Zamazenta V, not as good as Zacian V, so I didn't put it down initially, but it's Zacian V was the big attacker. It's holding a sword. Zamazenta V has a shield on its body and just tanky, immune to V Max's attack was a lot less. So, but defensive. It was important, but it was like paired with Zacian or something. Always is generally is the number two Pokemon in a deck.
Yeah, number two or number three, because the decks it was
Yes,
with were like the Zacian EDP or Zacian and Luke Metal, or those were like your arguably main Pokemon. So it's a little different, but yes, Zamazenta V
right.
is good. I guess it's not amazing. Um, and then I think you had said there's three colorless Pokemon, but I'm going to talk about two first. Two single prize. We got Chinchino, Make Do. Its ability discard one, draw two. We've seen this. We have it in standard. We've seen it in the past. We are seeing it again and joining together. It's good. This is a time when it was like good. It wasn't absolutely insane, but it was pretty good. Um, played in some different decks. So looking at like the regular Limitless database, which is what we're looking at, it doesn't have like complete tournament data because of like COVID, and so we can't see that. But yeah, this was played like some. It wasn't the top. It wasn't a top tier engine. I'd say it's behind Inteleon, but it's decent.
It was more meaningful at first for an engine than the Italian engine. Italian engine caught on later and became much bigger. And Cinccino has 90 HP, which is important too, with another trainer we'll get to. But it was good, and hey, it made the Rapid Strike Malamar decks better. So it's always a good thing there, right? We get to talk about that later, don't we? So, and then I assume you're going to mention Orangaroo. Is that the other colorless?
Yeah. So Oranguru, I'll say its ability says this is like not a spectacular looking ability. It says once during a turn, you may switch a card to your hand with the top card of your deck. Um, it's kind of like a draw one, but not exactly. Putting the card back has some utility. There was a supporter monitor, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Kind of like Iono, where you draw from the top of your deck. I mean, there are lots of supporters where you draw from the top of your deck, but a disruptive supporter forces your opponent to draw from the top of your deck, so you can save a card for later. It's card with really good utility, played in a lot of different decks, and was like decent in those decks. It's not the strongest card, but it was played so much. It also set up for Zacian V.
Right.
It was a really solid support Pokemon.
Yeah, like Zacian V, something where you need to get that top card, card in the deck to when you use Zacian V's ability. And if you are a fan of Mad Party, we'll be getting to before you played your supporter that we'll get to that may be the best card in the set. I don't know. You not to discard that one card that you wanted saved. You could Orangaroo it back on top of your deck and then discard your hand. So versatile, not going to be the top card, but good there. And then the other colorless Pokemon, just to make mention, is Cramorant V. It had a snipe attack for 3 colorless energy. It did 160 to any Pokemon. The Dene GX, that obviously is not part of Sword and Shield, but it was around for most of the time Cramorant V was. So Cramorant V could one-shot the Dene GX on the bench. So it was meaningful in decks that could power it up.
Yeah, and the first attack search for 2 cards is pretty solid. To me, this is the weakest of the 3 colorless Pokemon, but it's still it's all right. I mean, it was played in Welder, it was played occasionally in some other things. Welder also shared some overlap with this card, but there was also a bunch of time when it didn't have Welder. It had a VMAX as well, which is like a thing. It's fine. Then there's a bunch of trainers here, so I guess we'll go in order. We got Air Balloon. Air Balloon reduces for 2 costs by 2 colorless. It's really good. It's a card that saw play. I personally didn't love it. Like I like Switch more. There wasn't a lot of tool synergy like there is now with like Arvin and stuff. But then this is obviously better than Rescue Board. Rescue Board it's not technically objectively better. I mean realistically it is. I don't think I've ever seen the second part of Rescue Board trigger. Have you?
No, I don't think so. So no, I mean, look, I'm a bigger fan of Air Balloon than you. Retreat cost of 2, that extra reduction of retreat cost can be important. So, anyway, and then Big Charm, I another tool, and these were items. Tools weren't separate back when these were initially printed. Plus 30 HP for any Pokemon. So, just very nice there.
Yeah. Oh, this gets weird. So, are we counting Crushing Hammer or like energy retrieval?
I think it was out of format, right? It's a reprint, but it
was out of format. I don't think it was out of format. Okay. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
I mean, because to me, we're going to come up to Ultra Ball later on, and I think that I would count.
Yeah, okay, we'll just count all the cards, unless they're like reprints of Sword and Shield era cards. So there's Crushing Hammer. I'm not going to talk much about these, but Crushing Hammer is just good. It's actually very good.
Or it's really horrible, I would say.
Yeah, it's quite annoying. I'm scrolling through the decks that play it, and they're mostly Iron Thorns. Or the top ones are Iron Thorns. There's a bunch of different things. So most of it's control. But yeah, so we're only counting it when it was in the Sword and Shield era. For this, and there's you discard energy retrieval, which an energy search. They do what they say. Energy switch. Great Ball. Great Ball is like not super. It's not great, right? You might say it is, but I certainly wouldn't. Pokemon Center Lady's okay. Pokegear 3.0, Palpad. These are in Switch as well. Actually, Switch is like really good. I'm not gonna say Switch because it's Switch, but yeah, there's a lot of like staple trainers in the set that are good. Not like I mean, some of them are really good. And these are cards that we've seen, I mean, that are still in standard today.
Right. I think Evo Incense doesn't get the respect for how good a card it is all the time. It was a great item card, I think, and it would still see a ton of play. Basically whenever it was around.
Yeah.
Marnie,
Oh yeah,
is
Evo
great.
Instance should just searches for a Pokemon an evolution Pokemon puts into your hand.
Right.
Yeah.
But so you don't have to discard or have a Pokemon it just draws, so that's good. I don't know. Metal Saucer was meaningful, but
Oh, so
not.
you didn't say what Mario did either.
Oh, Marnie. Now we're not going to have time to read all these cards. I don't think. But
No, it's fine. We got
it. All right, everyone, buckle up for a long ride, I guess. So it's like Iono, but better probably. Each player shuffles your hand, put it at the bottom of your deck, and then you drew 5 cards. The person that played it, your opponent draws 4. So you always got the advantage for cards with it. So it was just a massive staple the whole time it was around.
Yeah, it doesn't draw as much as Iono, and it doesn't disrupt at the early game. It doesn't disrupt as much later on. But yeah, Marnie's really good. You said Metal Saucer, which is like Dark Patch or whatever for Metal Pokemon, which is good with mostly Zacian V, I think. Wasn't really played. It was played in Dialga,
right?
Which usually played Zacian. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you mention Ordinary Rod?
No, I didn't. I skipped the ones that were unique.
Reprint?
So no, it's not a reprint. It was only in this set because it's like super
Okay.
odd. You shuffle up to 2 in any combination of, you shuffle 2 basic Pokemon, and up to 2 basic energy and 2 Pokemon from just into your deck. It's like super odd essentially. And so that's good. It's very good, but it's not going to win. Then
No.
I forgot. I didn't say Pokemon Catcher. That's fine. Professor's Research is a big one, which says discard draw 7. Yeah, we have it in the game today. It's really good. Quick Ball is an item that says you discard another card from your hand and then search for any basic, put it into your hand, which is a big difference than Nest Ball. Take a Pokemon like, say, Hawlucha. Hawlucha's not super good, but you get it into your hand and then you can play. If you Nest Ball for it, its ability won't trigger. Or Lumini Envy, right? This is a bigger deal there.
Right.
And so it allows for these abilities to trigger. Also, I skipped Rare Candy. We're going to kind of ignore these cards because I don't want to say it. The best card from Sword and Shield is Rare Candy. And also, how do I compare Rare Candy to Quick Ball or Zacian V? And then there's Aurora Energy, which is an energy of any type. It's a special energy. You discard a card from your hand and play it, which is okay. Can be good. You'd probably be a little better if you didn't have to, but it's still really good.
Yeah, no, a lot of really good cards there. So, and obviously the ones we didn't mention. So, getting to the decision time. Professor's Research. Normally we don't count Professor's Research because it's always a reprint, but this is the first time it came into the game. There was cards doing the same thing before this, though, right?
Yeah, there's the other professors, Professor Juniper, Professor Sycamore, Professor Oak sometimes grouped in, but it's a functionally pretty different card, especially in gameplay. It's essentially an item. So, or it is an item actually, I believe technically, but
right.
Yeah,
so Professor Juniper was in format right before this, right? So there wasn't
Juniper
a time...
was a while before. There was not a card before this. Sycamore was the closest one, but that was
okay. So there was a break. All right. So Research huge, Quick Ball huge, and then Zacian V I think for the Pokemon would be the strongest. Those are the top 3 candidates. Would you say?
Yeah, ignoring stuff like Rare Candy and Switch are really good as well. But I don't want to say those. Evo Instance you said is really good as well. I think I'd go with Quick Ball.
I think I would go with that as well. So a huge card, yeah. And if we had it, it would just see tons of play now as well. So
yeah, it was a 4 in every deck. If you didn't know. So it was really really good.
All right, so Quick Ball, and that was a huge set with a lot of great cards, I will say. So the next set's Rebel Clash. It has some good cards, but a lot less good cards, I would say. So the first Pokemon I have here is Psychic. Do you want to say something?
I have Eldegoss V. It's decent. On play, get a supporter from your discard into your hand. I'd also had a usable attack. It wasn't I wouldn't say it's super important, but if you wanted to, I can understand it for some control stuff. But yeah, it's solid. Yeah, nothing not super interesting, but it's good.
Right. Yeah, good, but not great. I think it falls in that area. Yeah. And then is the next one going to be
Yeah,
Dragapult for
I
you?
think there's Inteleon VMAX, the Water VMAX. It's fun. I enjoyed it, but it's not anything crazy. A Bolton V as well, a Lightning V. This one actually, this was like really good when it came out. Lightning was um, around when this came. Actually, with the next set, we'll talk about a card that's like a really good Lightning Pokemon. Lightning was absurd. It was for a really short period of time. I mean, it was
Yeah.
good for a while, but it became like actually like absurdly broken. For a short period of time, and Bolton V was part of that deck, but it's not the
Right.
main part of it.
Right, with the Pikarom tag team Pokemon,
Pikarom,
which was
Electro Power
what
you
would
had. Um, there's some crazy stuff.
right. It was named after Pikarom though, but yeah, it was like an important piece, but I don't think that's gonna win things there. So getting to one I think that could get it, I don't think it does, is Dragapult VMAX, which was the big VMAX, the first major VMAX, right, in the game, I think.
Yeah, there was some in Sword and Shield, but they're all pretty bad. Though some are the ones are getting expanded. The one saw some play in standard, but of course it would.
Yeah, this was a card I never got to work for me. I think you got it working more successfully for you because I never got the energies in play somehow. But 2 energies, 130. You put 5 damage counters on the bench any way you like. So very nice there. Not doing a ton of damage, so that's the question. Right at 130 with 320 HP. So it was good. But it had darkness weakness, which then the Pokemon decided to just wipe it out with the next set.
I guess, yeah. I mean, Dragon Ball VMAX was like good when it was in standard. Definitely a top deck. It's also kind of like Dragon Ball EX is based on this. Dragon Ball EX is like stronger. Its attack cost is awkward,
Yeah.
and it's stage 2, but gives up one less prize and has an interesting engine. So Dragon Ball EX is better. This is like weaker than it, just in general in terms of the metagame, but still a good card. Yeah, like a it's like it's a good card. Definitely, I imagine top 10 VMAX. Um, Next up, I'll say I assume there's nothing else to say about Clear or about Dragon Ball
No.
EX. Yeah, so I got
No, and I don't have any other Pokemon, so
oh, you don't? Okay. So I'll say
no.
Galarian Wheezing here. Galarian Wheezing, there's actually
Oh
coughing that's
yeah.
important for it, but whatever. It's actually not
I
in this
did.
set.
Yeah, I did have Galarian Weezing, so I take that back.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So with neutralizing gas ability, fun card to annoy your opponents with, as long as it's in the active spot. Your opponent's Pokemon have no ability in play, have no abilities except for neutralizing gas. So really good for counter decks.
I guess. I mean, the decks were built around it. The displayed in its attack is quad poison, which is like okay. There wasn't really many buffs. Its ability is absurdly good. Like Iron Thorns EX in standard is like a good ability. That's really the only. I mean, it won the World Championships. The only reason that you play it is for the ability. The attack is better than this, I guess, but it's not that much better. But Galarian Weezing shuts down all your opponent's abilities, not just the rule box abilities. And on top of that, it also doesn't shut off your own abilities. So you can actually have a deck
Right.
behind this. We talked about Sableye V and Teleon, um, some different things, and it was pretty good with those.
Right. Later, right, have the Inteleon that would place damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. You could do the hit. The Sableye V was one way to go with it. To kind of finish off the game with that, or like Crobat VMAX if you really wanted to get spicy and really hope things went your way.
Yeah, where you'd
But
attack, and then attack would actually mean that you do less damage. Um,
yeah, so it was sketchy. But no, Galarian Weezing, I think we both liked it a lot.
yeah, and it was solid. Oh, I'll mention Galarian Meowth. Galarian Meowth is really fun. Its ability, it does like a thing, but the important thing is that you like discard 2 cards from your hand. Really fun, not super good, but really, really fun.
Yeah, no, it was in decks that we liked it, and just a way to discard 2 cards, including we'll get to Mad Party. That was one option in that, and other things that want to just discard random cards from your hand. So it was good for that.
Yeah, but then I think there's. Oh, sorry.
Do you have any other Pokemon?
No. So I'm gonna. Do you want to talk about the trainers or should I?
I'm gonna just look the first trainer. I don't know if you have any. To me, a Scoop Up Net. I don't know if you have anything before that. So
Wait, are you going in order?
Yes.
No, yeah. There's
So
Boss.
Oh, boss, that's right. I keep forgetting because Boss is one we always say doesn't count. But
Yeah,
you're right.
Boss is. This is the first printing of Boss's orders. Gust one of your opponent's Pokemon. Well, okay. There's like Lysander, and there's also Guzma, which was different. This is the first printing of Boss's orders, which I think is the best card in this set. I'm just gonna say that Scooping's really good.
Yeah. Scoop Up that's pretty good though too. But yeah, probably good. So yeah, Boss's order's huge. So we don't need to say more about Boss. Everyone knows what Boss is.
Yeah.
Scoop Up Net really, really good though. In fact, they had to ban it, right? Because
Yeah, but
problems with
expanded
it.
because it's too
Yeah.
good. There are like cards in expanded that are banned that are like weird niche interactions. Scoop Up Net is not banned because of weird niche interactions. It's banned because it's like super insanely strong.
Well, yeah, and this was you scoop up one of your Pokemon that's not a V or a GX is what it said.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
at the time it was printed, those were the only rule box Pokemon in format. Now if they were going to print the card now, they would probably say any non rule box Pokemon, and then it probably would be fair.
yeah. Still really good.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, like the Inteleon engine and a lot of other things, like even the Galarian Zigzagoon, being able to scoop up these little Pokemon, really important. So, just it was a huge card. Played a ton. I just got to assume in a lot of big
Yeah. Oh, and
decks.
in Lost Zone as well, it allowed you to like really turbo that. You can. It's like decently fast, but this was
Yeah,
even more explosive.
and then there's just two energies. Capture Energy, very good. Played it a lot. I think I certainly played it in a lot of decks. And then
Yeah, which
actually
is like
there's
Nest Ball, but it's like Heartless special energy.
right color special energy that you put a Pokemon on your bench. They're all pretty good actually, right?
Yeah, you get those.
You got the horror psychic energy. Speed lightning was very good. That made those lightning better. And the twin energy, which worked on non GX Pokemon essentially.
And
I mean
V's.
not GX or V's. So non rule box. I was going to say that was the format. Gave two colors energy, so just very good there.
Mhm. But yeah, I'd say pretty good. The card. Oh yeah, no, it was really good in Lugia. I kind of forgot about that. Or it
Yeah.
was like good in Lugia. It wasn't insane. I'm looking through, and a lot of this is Reggie's. It wasn't a core card in Reggie's. Twin Energy's like good. Um, nowhere near double turbo energy, but still really good. It's between Boss and Scoop of Net, right?
Yeah. So yeah. So you want to give it to Boss? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean Scoop of Net, and we're not counting Boss like now. But yeah, throughout the whole Sword and Shield era, Boss was it's one of the top three supporters. I'm pretty confident saying that. That were in the game during the Sword and Shield era. You had top three, top four. I'd say it's probably the top one to be honest, but because we didn't have prime catcher either or counter catcher during this era, so it was pretty insane.
No, Boss's order is really good. It feels weird that we didn't take Professor's research then, but
Yeah, I feel
yeah.
like we could have said research. It kind of feels like like its legacy is like really impactful. They're similar. This is the first. So the Boss's orders, if you don't know, it's like Boss orders subtitle something. I think Bosses and Research are the only two cards like that.
I think so. No, no, there's the black belt or whatever, right?
No, that's
They've
I was
had
gonna
new
say
ones.
that. That's just like different printings. Um,
Oh, it's not in the
yeah,
name.
it's like
Okay,
a
so
similar concept, but
yeah, if you know of some other ones that have done this with names that all a secondary part of the name doesn't count, it's a little weird because usually those parts of the name count. So they're kind of making it a little more confusing to new players with it, but they do what they do.
yeah. And they did this for because they kept like reprinting the like obviously there's like new bosses and new researchers or professors each like era. They wanted to do this so that because they kept printing them with like the same stuff on them. Well, not exactly the same stuff, but generally with the same stuff. And then they all these cards with different names that were like really strong, so they had to make it so you can only play one of them in a deck and expanded, so your decks weren't like too good. Not that expanded is really balanced, but they did that. So, anyways, yeah, boss is absurd. Superness is really good as well and really fun.
Yeah, so I think give the edge to Boss there. So I agree. So we got Quick Ball, we got Boss's orders. So going on to Darkness Ablaze, the third set, and the first. Well, this one starts to have a really big VMAX in it as well. So,
Yeah, Sentis Scorch
uh,
VMAX. That's not very good to say. Sentis Scorch VMAX was really good for like a certain time period. Um, it fell off. It's not going to win, but it was pretty good.
I do have a Pokemon that deserves mention before that, and that's
Oh
Decidueye.
yeah,
All right, right, a friend of yours for sure. So with its deep force camo ability, immune to damage from Pokemon V and GX. So a good counter deck, and the attack did 90 and hit 220 on two of the opponent's bench Pokemons, hit some snipe. So, it was good when people weren't prepared for it.
Yeah, it's like Mimikyu, Aegislash, different walls. Um, yeah, it's the same type of thing. It was really solid. Um, maybe a little underrated as well, but it was very good.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to win, but it was good. So I'm going to mention a water Pokemon next, and then
Oh,
this is we got Galarian Mr. Rhyme. So we'll just say the Mad Party Pokemon because
yeah.
I definitely want to shout them out. So, right, those 20 per card with Mad Party in the discard pile. So a very fun single prize deck. I enjoyed playing. A lot of people did.
Yeah, it's like United Wings. It's like stronger. It was strong in the metagame than United Wings. United
Yeah.
Wings is like decent, but it has some pretty solid, pretty sizable issues. Like Dragon Bolt's like really bad for it. Dragon Bolt was bad for Mad Party as well. But yeah, there's four. The best of them is the Bunnelby. And the Poltergeist is pretty good, but
Right. It did have an engine piece, which United Wings does not have.
it has the
Right.
Flamigo, but yeah, the
Oh,
Poltergeist is probably better.
right. You discard what, one card, is it? Any card? You draw
One
two?
Mad Party Pokemon.
One Mad Party, which is what you want to be doing with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a lot since I played it. And then the next card I have here is Vikavolt V. I don't know if you have anything before that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. Yeah.
All right, so Vikavolt V, it maybe we didn't. Well, just it item locked for 2 energy. So depending at the stage, 1 point you could item lock your opponent on your at turn one going second. So a very annoying card there for sure. And then it could do 190 as well. So had item lock and do 50, which isn't a bad number, and then 190. So yeah, not my favorite, not the best, but I think worth mentioning.
Yeah, this was part of like the absolutely insane lightning deck. You had Vikavolt V. Oh, this one doesn't play Bolt on V. But you had Pikachu and Zekrom, which you mentioned. Tapu Koko Prism Star, Zero Aura GX, Electro Power, Thunder Mountain. So you had it was so easy to set up turn one going second, and you'd hit theoretically a lot of damage as well. It was like a really, really nasty item lock deck plus really solid attacking options. It was really, really good. Not for a really, really long like time, but it was pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a piece in that deck, so I don't, it's not going to become the top card, I don't think. The next card I have is Darkness.
Yeah, are we gonna skip on UV like that?
I don't think we need to read that out, do you?
No, we don't. But yeah, can I see this one from you?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we got Crobat V. Crobat V is really good. This one has the ability Dark Asset. On play, you drop to have 6 cards in hand. If you're familiar with Shaman EX, you're probably actually also familiar with Crobat V. But this is weaker. You cannot use multiple of the same Dark Asset ability each turn, but still really good. And important that you get off a quick ball, which is really, really strong and important. It's like a staple Pokemon, better than I'd say it's like on a similar. It's a little. No, it's on a similar level to Pheasantipty EX, which is really good. Like it's probably the best Pokemon in the game right now. And so it was like kind of outclassed by Dedenne EX. Not that you wouldn't play it, but it was weaker. And then it was really good though.
Right. You usually play Dedenne GX and Crobat. Dedenne GX was, I would say, the more important of the two cards. But you usually would play like one Crobat, sometimes two Dedenne, depending on the deck, just the way it works. So yeah, very, very good. And I think in the running for the best card in the set, I would say. I think the other card, which is in the running for best card in the set, you may disagree, is Eternus VMAX. So the first of, this was the highest HP Pokemon. It came out 340 HP. And obviously gave up 3 prizes. Darkness type, it did 30 per darkness Pokemon in play. So, and it had its ability Eternal Zone would expand your bench to 8 Pokemon, assuming you only had darkness Pokemon in play. So, which is why you'd play this Crobat V. Like you might play 4 Crobat V in that deck because you just needed to fill up your bench and you'd save a bench space so you could draw some more cards next turn. Things like Galarian Zigzagoon. And some other cards we'll get to as we go along. So just a very good deck. One I played a lot, considered to be a simple deck, which it was relative to some, but obviously did have decisions as well.
Wait, sorry. What are those other cards that we're going to mention later?
Well, Galarian Moltres V, not as important.
Yeah, that's true. There's a bunch later, but yeah, that's good. Yeah, this is really strong. The first really amazing VMAX, like Dragapult VMAX was really good, but this one was much better than that. Do you have other stuff from the set?
Just make a mention of powerful energy.
Mm-hmm. Powerful colorless energy.
Powerful colorless energy. Yeah, I mean one of the things I'll just mention now because we also have like the heat fire energy, hiding darkness energy, which worked in Eternus too potentially. But we had within these early sets special energies for all types. Which become which becomes important for a Pokemon of the V-Star era.
Yep. But yeah, so powerful call is essentially really good. It's like you do 20 extra, it's really strong. Not going to be the best one here. I'll mention,
No.
I mean, Bird Keeper's pretty good. Switch
Yep.
Draw 3, I think it's like a tier 2 supporter. These cards kind of get overlooked, which is good. I mean, it saw a bunch of play. And then also there is Cape of Toughness, giving 50 extra HP. It's kind of like Bravery Charm. It's objectively a little bit worse, but it's not that much worse. And yeah, so I give it to Crobat V though.
Okay. I mean, it's if it's not that, it would be Eternus, I think, right? Is that kind of
Yeah, I think Crobat V is like so good in so many decks. Eternus, and it was a 4 of an Eternus. I mean, um,
right?
so it's all like it was really good. It was really strong.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with Crobat V. I think that's a good call. So yeah, so Crobat V, and it's very universal, very, very good. So then we get to one of the most despised sets, although the fourth set a lot of times of the year is the weaker set anyway, and this is Vivid Voltage. Um, yeah, we'll see. I'm just going to mention Beedrill very quickly. It was a fun little card, not a stage two, and you if it was the last card in your hand, you could put it onto your bench directly, draw 3 cards. So you could, for silly decks, it was a fun card to have.
Yeah.
And then the next card, and shows why this set's not that good. I'm going to just mention Charizard, a single prize Pokemon.
Oh, sorry.
And
I'm
this
gonna
was
mention Orbeetle VMAX before that.
okay.
Which is okay. I'll mention it. That's it. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
anything about it. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, you
It's
like
not that
playing
good.
it some. No, we mentioned it because the cards aren't good in this set. Charizard, not a good. It was kind of a viable single prize deck, rogue deck. Not great. It was amongst the last of the theme decks, which also makes it important, but it wasn't all that good. Is what I'll say there. I guess. Where do we go down to next? I'm looking through here. We go to. Do we have anything for Colossal VMAX from your point? You're breaking
sorry.
up there.
Yep. No, I'm the I sneezed.
Okay,
Sorry
bless you.
about.
So
Oh yeah. Well, I have some, but we'll talk about them later. That's fine.
okay, so Colossal VMAX, which was the big card of the set, although it was underwhelming, I would say. VMAX fighting type, so it hit Eternatus VMAX for weakness. It did 240, but 4 energies, so that was kind of rough. It did have a card for 1 energy. You would discard the top card of your deck and do 90 more if it was an energy. So then with the Orangaroo, obviously would work with that. So
Yep. It was okay. It wasn't great. But it was actually better in
no,
Japan. So Japan's format's like synced up now. It wasn't before. So there's like Mag Cargo, which was like good within some stuff. It wasn't like amazing, but it was okay. I think I didn't really pay that much attention to the Japanese format at the time, but it was decent, I guess. What do you have next?
I just look. I have a couple of the Pokemon. I'm just going to toss out Jirachi, which wasn't that good, and just show it has an ability that I don't even. It just wasn't that good. But it's one of probably the top, might be top 5 card in the set. I don't know. Snorlax with Gormodize is one of the better cards in the set. I don't think you liked it, but
Oh yeah, I thought it was terrible.
I know you did, but it's kind of like a single prize, potentially Rotom V in some sense. You drew to 7 cards and ended your turn. So if you have 4 cards in hand, you do draw 3 cards. It obviously depends. So, and it's 130 HP, so decent HP for a single prize, but it's a single prize Pokemon to draw. So it definitely saw play.
Yeah, it was like its draw power was probably a little better than Rotom V, but then you need to get it into the active, which isn't that hard, but it does take some resources, and then you need to get it out of the active. Like if your opponent doesn't knock it out, it's 3 retreat. So your opponent could kind of just leave it there, and then you're not really doing anything. It was played in like control and stuff. It was fine.
Right.
Then I have 2 Pokemon I want to talk about, which are the amazing rares. 2 of those, there were 4 or something, 5, I don't know. But there's Raikou Amazing Rare, which is earlier, and then there's Rayquaza Amazing Rare. I don't think I'm missing any from this set that are super good. You mentioned Jirachi. There's also apparently Zambazuto and Zacian. Okay, that's 5. 6. There's Celebi. Celebi was okay, but not that good. Raikou Amazing Rare though. Banned in GLC, yeah. But whatever. It does 120 to your opponent's active and to one on their bench. And this is for Grass Lightning Metal, so it's kind of awkward. But you could pay it in Lugia and Lost Zone. It was a little harder in Lost Zone, but doable definitely. It's really easy in Lugia, which we'll talk about later. Then
Right.
Rayquaza was played in Lost Zone some as a main attacker. You did 80 for each basic energy type. You discard all of them and you do 80 for each type. It needs a grass, a metal, or no, a grass, lightning, and a fight. No, grass, lightning, fighting. You probably want a fourth one on, which is potentially that metal from Raikou or whatever. There are some different things you play. Um,
Yeah.
but it was pretty solid. It wasn't amazing. I'd put Raikou. Well, okay, it is by definition amazing. But yeah, Raikou is I'd say a little bit better. Rayquaza pretty good though.
Yeah, no, right. They're amazing rares that they were right really when Lugia came into the format, right? Before
Yeah, it
then,
was pretty
they
near the
weren't really
end.
playable. So that's a blow there. And I do have one trainer and one just one trainer, which I think might be the best card. Telescopic sight.
Okay,
Why don't you talk about that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you two are both not 100%. But yeah, telescopic sight. Wait, this okay. So you do 30 more snipe to bench GXs and Vs, aka like essentially the rule box Pokemon. But also if you don't, I don't think I said this yet. I don't know how much it's mattered, but Vs refers to basic Vs, V maxes, and V stars, and V unions, I guess. But they're not even in this video. So this would be paired with Rap Strike, Urshifu V Max, as well as some other things, I guess, to do some extra damage to hit certain breakpoints. It was pretty solid. I'm going to talk about some other cards as well. One,
Yep.
I'm going to say, so Leon is 30 extra damage active as a support. It was okay. It saw play. Oh, this isn't loading, but it saw play. It wasn't an amazing card, but it was decent. I think if you look at it, like it sees a decent amount of play. It wasn't that good. But not that bad. I'd put it over Telescopic Sight personally. And then Memory Capsule,
Okay.
which is interesting, I believe won the World Championship. Wait, did it win the World Championship? Oh, no,
Was
it
there
came.
worlds then?
Yeah,
When
no. Oh, it came second and third. So with certain things, but it's played here in. I'm just glancing. It had some like weird synergies. But was meaningful for Jolteon, which well,
mm,
actually no, Jolteon's in the set too. So Jolteon says if it has memory capsule attached, water Pokemon have no abilities. There are a few water Pokemon that were pretty good, including Radiant Greninja, still very good now, though not really a deck build around a card. But then it also had it turned off the Italian engine, which we mentioned earlier, which was really good at the
mhm.
time. All these cards that we talked about really have been better later on. Um, I don't know what to go for. Raikou was like pretty good. It was pretty insane at a point, but it was like a small period of time. Oh, Aegislash V was also played. It's like the third one behind Zamazenta V, but it was playable. There's also a bunch of those like special energies of like the different types. Coding Metal was okay.
Right.
Some were okay.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't great special energies. I mean, obviously, you'd play them, but Lugia they helped out. That was what they're big for there. So, I mean, where do you want to go with this one? I mean, I honestly would probably put Snorlax, but you hate Snorlax. You don't like
Yeah, I'd
Cormorant,
say
so
we could do Snorlax. I'd say Raikou. Um,
Raikou.
yeah.
Okay, you can. I mean, it's just weird because it wasn't good for so long, right? Um,
Yeah, we could say I'm okay with Snorlax.
okay, I mean, again, Snorlax was niche. It was mainly control. Telescopic sight was good. All right, so we'll just say Snorlax,
Yeah.
which shows the weakness of the set too.
Yeah, next set. I think the first few sets, the first three had like really big impactful cards, and the next set was really bad. The rest of the sets I think are going to be a bit more like smoother, especially when you get to the ones that people are more familiar with, starting to go into the cards as in depth. We have battle styles up next, and again we are skipping mini sets. And I'll mention Cricketune V. This is it's like Drotto 3. If it's in the active Drotto 4, you compare it with Air Balloon. It was okay. It's not as good as Mew EX. It doesn't have a good attack. It doesn't have free retreat, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's a card I would play with, but it never was all that great. I would say. We do have Durant for the mill, but I assume we don't need to say much more about that there.
Nah.
It was okay. It wasn't great anyway. The next card for me is a water Pokemon. Although you probably want to mention Victini
Yeah,
VMAX, right?
Victini VMAX is a pretty good VMAX. I think pretty underrated. It saw some play at when it came out. It was decent. It's a really boring card to be honest, or it had a really boring deck. It's a moderately boring card, but it's decent, pretty good actually.
Yeah, that was on my list too. So it's worth a mention. And then to me, it goes to Octillery in the water, which is because this is where we had the battle styles. We introduced the rapid and single strike at this point, and Octillery was really. We had Houndoom, which I'm sure we'll mention too, but Octillery was a much more important card in Rapid Strike decks than Houndoom was to the single strike decks. I would say, just it searched for any Rapid Strike cards, so very good in those Rapid Strike decks. So
Yeah.
which to me is what the strength is of the battle style set.
Yeah. Then this would actually be the most impactful card of any card in the Sword and Shield era, which is Empoleon V. It's not actually that good. But it introduced the rule box wording, which is like something that people were asking for like a really long time. I don't know if there are other cards in the set that refer to it. But this is the one I remember. And it's like, wow, this is a really big deal when it was revealed. It changed the game, I guess. It's not very good. I mean, it's fine. It's not super good though. But it's actually decent, like a counter to Lost Zone, one of the better ones out there. But yeah, really did actually change the game.
Yeah, it was there eventually. Right, Lost Zone was later, but it tried to counter Lost Zone, although not, I don't know, overly successfully either.
I think it was good in water decks, but people threw it into like not water decks, and then it just sits there and doesn't attack, and like you lose. So.
And because the trainer we're going to get to, you might have to play 2 Empoleon Vs, and then that's not. Yeah. So, anyway, which is a very good card. So, Octillery is good. Empoleon V is, it was important. Tapu Koko VMAX was an interesting card, but I don't think all that great. And then to me, we get to the Urshifus. Do you have anything before then?
Yeah, I'd skip the single strike one as well. I don't. It's okay.
Single strike, yeah, I wasn't as big a fan of that. I think the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX is could be the best card in the set. I think you're not going to agree with me on that. 2 solid attacks, Gale Thrust 30 plus 150 if you swung to the active. It had a stadium to help give you free retreat and such. So that's for 1 energy and 150 on a 330 HP Pokemon. And then it would also do 120 damage to your opponent's Pokemon. You could choose bench any combination, bench and active. For 3 energies, you had to discard, what was it, all the energy? Yeah, all energy. And we did. It had a special energy to help power it up. So.
Which I'll say now, Rapid Strike energy. It's the Rapid Strike Pokemon. It's water / fighting, and it's 2 energy. So it's good. It helps this and some other things.
Right. And it was a better special. The single strike had a special energy too. I think in some ways this was more important. Although Lugia, I guess, would be where the single strike one came into impact more. And the funny thing is, it could only be attached to a Rapid Strike Pokemon. So you couldn't attach it to a non-Rapid Strike Pokemon in your deck. So I'm not sure how common that was before that.
Yeah. I think it was common. I think they moved away from that. But anyways, Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX is really solid. We have Cheryl. Wait, do you have any Pokemon left?
Just Houndoom. That's the supporter for Single Strike, which accelerated energy, and which this Single Strike energy increased damage. So Single Strike was designed to be a big hitter, but I think the Rapid Strike was just a little more strong and versatile.
Oh, I'll also mention Tyranitar V. Tyranitar V is not interesting, but it was the main Single Strike Pokemon within the Lugia Single Strike deck, which is like kind of important. It's not super good. It's okay, and it's decently strong, but not super interesting. And you want single strike energy boost damage by 20. It's like good, but yeah. Then we have the trainers here. We got Cheryl. This is it heals all damage from an evolution Pokemon. You discard all energy from it. Pretty good supporter. Never really lived up to its potential, but is good. We got Energy Recycler. I don't really feel like talking about this card, to be honest. But it's like good. Good and lost.
We're getting it back though, right?
Yeah, we are getting it back. It's out in Japan now. Actually, the multiple things are. Anyways, we have EXP share. EXP share is good. But we have Escape Rope. You switch, your opponent has to switch as well. This card's really good.
Right, your opponent chose. So it was an item. So it wasn't a boss with an item, but you switched, your opponent switched. Or I think probably your opponent switched first, right?
Yeah.
So good there. Yeah, no, I think this was one of the top cards, Escape Rope. And Bruno, I'm just going to toss that out quickly. That's the single strike supporter, was useful in a lot of decks, single prize decks mainly. So which are always, I like trying to make those work, although it wasn't as great there. And then what, Level Ball's the next one to mention, I assume?
Yeah, level
You want to talk
ball.
about that?
Yeah, search for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less, reveal it, put into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This card's really good. It's a Pokemon search card. It was really good for a long time. I'm still only counting it since it was printed. I think this card is the best card. I don't think we really need to talk about any other cards from the set either.
No, and certainly not the scrolls, right?
Yeah, mustard.
Because they were not good. They were tools, by the way. Yeah, I mean, Level Ball made Scoop Up Net, and then Level Ball came out, and this made the Intelligent Engine so much better because now you could get your Drizzile and just chain it turn after turn. You could get your Chinchinos, you could get your Rapid Strike Malamar. Oh, we haven't got there yet, so sorry. Good for all, for Mad Party, really good. I think Rapid Strike Urshifu, I might say, but I know you like Level Ball, so I'm willing
Well,
to
you
go
play
there.
level ball like a lot.
Oh
So
yeah, no, it's for single prize decks. This was really key, right? And if a Pokemon had 100 HP at that time, it was a bad thing.
yeah. But anyways, so then let's talk about Chilling Reign, the next set, which I think is your favorite set, like
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, okay, so I'll run through some things quickly because these are not good cards. I'll mention the not so good cards. I'm going to mention Beedrill, which was kind of fun. Single strike, you had to get it in play, but you could one shot for one energy at any Pokemon with special energy. Mew VMAX came out, so it gave you a counter there. Then we have the great cast form Pokemon with the weather reading ability. If you have 8 or more stadiums in your discard pile, and who doesn't love a lot of stadiums in your deck, you ignore the attack cost for this Pokemon. It still just did 150, and you had to do a lot of the work with the stadiums, but it was a lot of fun. Rapid Strike Malamar was
Oh,
in
you
this.
skip
In this,
Blaziken.
yeah, no, Blaziken doesn't. Yeah, I like Blaziken more than it was worth. I'm well aware of that. I can't argue
Was
for
that
Blaziken.
true
I
for like
liked
all
it a
those
lot.
other cards too?
Castform was so much fun, and Rapid Strike Malamar was successful. I think honestly, it was pretty good
Yeah, it
all
was
in
a
all.
solid.
So you hated it. You just didn't like it that
It
much, and
never
I don't think
worked for me like at all. Yeah, anyway, it's kind of like
like Dragapult
so
VMAX was for me. I just never I would go to games and I couldn't attack most of the game, which should be the case. But I think that's how you were with Malamar for
yeah, and
some
I just
reason.
play
So
against Dragon Ball as well with Malamar, which wasn't good. I was gonna say it's like something, but I couldn't think of a comparison. But it's you like discard or you shuffling Rapid Strike Pokemon.
right,
Then let's see. Let's talk about like the good cards. You skipped some. You skipped Ice Rider. Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX, really strong
yes,
VMAX. You discard some energy. Just a really solid one. Inteleon with its pinging ability, really solid. Plays 2 damage counters somewhere. It's the same as actually Greninja from Pocket. Then there's the Curlias and the Curly and the Gardevoir. They're good. They're really good in Gardevoir. I would not put them up there personally. They were pretty bad when they came out, but they're fine. They were really good later on. Singles or no, Shadow
well,
Rider Calyrex
not
VMAX is pretty good. It was good. Fell off pretty quickly.
yeah. Look, I mean, this is not the good Curlier for Gardevoir, but it's a good
Yeah.
Gardevoir,
Well,
right?
it's a good Curlia. It was played. It's not the Curlia, but it's good.
Right. It's not the Curlier, and this Gardevoir would go in the Gardevoir EX deck. It wasn't its own deck, really.
Yeah. Then learn Zapdos V, counter to Eternatus. Kind of good. There's another counter to Eternatus in the set that I think is bad. We got Galarian Moltres V, which accelerates Darkness Energy to itself. A really good ability. It could be paired with Energy Switch. It's pretty
Yep.
good. Did I skip something?
Well, you mentioned Shadow Rider briefly, or
Oh,
no?
yeah, I did.
You want to? Okay. I mean, Shadow Rider is really good, and I think
It
this is
was
probably
really
the
good.
best.
Shadow
I,
Rider?
I, well, it was
It was
so
good for like
good
one
for a
set,
while.
for like a set or
Yeah.
two.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So go
and
on. I
then
mean,
there's Blissey V, Metagross V Max. Blissey V it was pretty solid. Then there's Avery, a supporter. You draw 3, your opponent discards down to 3 bench Pokemon. I think this supporter is completely terrible. But it saw play. I mean, it was okay, I guess.
it wasn't a terrible card.
It was a tier 2 supporter, I'll say. You know.
Yeah, it was situational. I mean, part of it was your opponents would play it. Like you know, when you play in live, your opponents aren't always making the smartest decisions. Your opponent would play it, and then you'd get your VMAX with 300 damage on it out of play. And you'd say thank you,
Yeah, and
right?
you're like
So,
Squawkabilly, not obviously not Squawkabilly, but something like that. Or like you Illumine
right,
Envy or whatever. So yeah, Avery's a card. Fog Crystal's a really good trainer. You search for a basic Psychic Pokemon
yeah.
or basic Psychic Energy. Yeah,
You skipped
just
Echoing Horn, which was
oh,
very
Echo
good.
Horn was pretty good. Yeah, in
Well, it was very
Snorlax.
for what? Snorlax
Snorlax.
and any
It was good.
control
Some
style deck.
yeah, and in spread decks as well. It was good.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
But
If I'd say
no,
that.
I'm
Oh, and
not.
then I forgot there were some really insane trainers in the set. So
There's great trainers. So let's Clara, very good. I know you don't like it that much, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
oh yeah,
Put
no, I
two
don't like it that
Pokemon
much.
indoor, two basic energies, so the disc propel into your hand. Really good in a number of things. Melanie, which I just loved, you accelerated a water energy to one of your V Pokemon. So
Yeah, and
I
then
love
draw three.
that.
It's like Sada's. It's a little weaker. Well, it's a little more versatile, a little weaker. Similar level.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. And then what the card that I think is probably the best card is Pass to the Peak, right?
Yeah.
Shuts off all abilities of rule box Pokemon.
Yeah, this card's insane. The Iron Thorns EX is really good, but it's I mean, its ability is really good. Its ability is Path. Everything else about the card's pretty bad. But yeah, you can just pair this with anything. This was like so good. One of the best cards I've seen in the game since I've been playing. It's one of the best stadiums of all time, if not the best stadium of all time. I don't know what would necessarily be better. There's some that are absolutely absurd, but then other things are kind of designed around them to make the stadium a little weaker. This is the opposite. Other cards were designed to essentially make the stadium stronger. It's pretty insane. I think clearly wins it.
Yeah, so you don't have any other cards from this set to mention, do you?
No, I think Melanie's second. I'll say that.
Okay, so yeah, yeah, there are a lot of things, especially in Arceus decks that you could do for one thing with different types of energies and whatnot. But yeah, so Path to the Peak gets the nod here, I think, and one of just a super strong stadium there. So get to Evolving Skies, which is also another very strong set, I would say here. The first card I have is a water. So do you have anything before that?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, so this does a lot of VMAXs. We'll probably talk about a few of these a bit more in detail, but there's all the evolution VMAXs. Most of them are pretty good. Not like amazing. Leafeon VMAX was pretty good. Is Jolteon VMAX on your list?
No, I didn't mention the evolutions just because they were good, but they weren't, they're not, I don't think they're in contention for the top.
Yeah, Jolteon, VMAX, Upguard VMAX, Leafeon VMAX, all very good VMAXs. Definitely, if you put them
Yeah.
in the top 10, I wouldn't say that's anything crazy. And Duraludon VMAX as well. Like, is that there on your list?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
That's
we'll talk about
Duraludon
that
is.
one. But yeah, I said a lot of VMAXs, and most of them were pretty good.
Right. No, the Sylveon, you didn't mention that one, I don't think. So yeah, and the Leafeon had a good ability as well, the V. So it made it useful in the deck too. Or even other decks would play it that weren't playing the Leafeon VMAX.
Yeah, some decks that weren't even really playing it accelerates grass energy, but there were decks that didn't really play grass energy that just tossed it in, like Urshifu.
Right. So getting that. So I have Suicune. Shall we go there next?
Yeah.
Which was really strong. I maybe in the contention for the strongest Pokemon. So this is the first of these Rondo attack Pokemon. Blizzard Rondo here. It had 210 HP. Fleet-footed ability, which they all had. If it's in the active, you draw a card, and it does for 2 energy, watercolors. In this case, it does 20 plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon, so a max of 210, assuming both opponents have 5 cards on their bench. So was pretty nasty. And then this set had the Ludicolo, which you'd play Suicune with the Italian engine, with rare candies. Ludicolo is when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon to your turn. Use the ability, and your basic Pokemon attacks do 100 more damage that turn. So that really helped the Suicune blow things up. So it was a very strong deck when it first came out.
Actually, another thing, but that's like really similar to Trapghost Dusknoir. You have the Ludicolo, which is like Dusknoir, the Trapghost EX, kind of like Suicune V, and the Italian engine, pretty similar to Noctowl as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, the differences, but yes, it's very much along the similar lines there. So, I really like this. I haven't gotten into the Tropicos though, so maybe I need to revisit that some more. The next I jumped down to Lightning. Do you have anything else?
No. Is it Flaffy here?
Yeah, it's Flaffy. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, so this accelerates to. Well, I didn't really like this card that much. I thought it was okay. It accelerates to benched Lightning Pokemon. It's actually the same as. It's like essentially a reprint of an older Electric, or Electric, and then it was played in Miraidon some. It was pretty good there. It was played in some other stuff. You don't have quite the amount of overlap that you're looking for a great card, and it wasn't like a super defining card of the deck. It was good, but it wasn't like insane. Yeah, Flaffy was fine. I was found it got stuck in the active, and I didn't play Air Balloon, so then I was sad.
So you're
Or Air
hating
Balloon
able.
was like rotated by that time anyway, so.
Uh, the important things with this, just it was in format before electric generator, so that's what you needed for energy acceleration for some things, and it had 90 HP, so it worked with level ball, right?
Yeah,
That
and
was
it's
kind
more
of
consistent than
design.
electric generator as well.
Okay, yeah. Um. So anyway, I don't think we need to talk about Draco's ult, which was one
The Trick
crazy
Souls,
annoying deck.
yeah, I hated that deck. It was decent.
So, let's see, what do we have next? Next, I jumped down to pump kaboo, I believe. Is that right? I can.
Yeah, which just discards a stadium on play. Nothing really crazy about it. It was good, I guess. It's a really unspectacular. There's a card before that was like
Yes.
objectively better, and there are cards after that were better, but it was decent.
Yeah. So Metacham V, I think, is a very meaningful card.
Hmm.
This made the Urshifu decks a lot better. It's a Rapid Strike Pokemon V. It had two Yoga Loop, so it let you take back-to-back turns with it for 2 colors energy, which you could pay for with 1 Rapid Strike energy. You put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If that Pokemon was knocked out, you would take another turn. So, a lot of fun with that. Not easy to pull off, but it wasn't impossible either. So you just needed practice with decks that used it.
Yeah, and so that was a cool card. It was a little gimmicky, but really good. Then I have Glare and Moltres is really good. This one on play, you accelerate 2 Darkness to it. We've seen like Blood and Ursaluna like it. There's actually one for each of the Glare and Birds, but this was the strongest. It does 50 or 20, 50 more for each prize your points taken. I imagine most of you are familiar with Radiant Charizard to some extent. This is kind of like Radiant Charizard filled a similar role in the decks was played in, and was sometimes played with it as well. Compare it with energy switch combos, and there's some things that like the darkest energy. Also, Glare and Moltres V kind of worked with this. Worked with some of the like the Inteleon, Sableye V. I wouldn't talk about Hoopa, but Hoopa, Glare and Weezing, Glare and Zigzagoon type decks. It was pretty good there.
Yeah, it could go in Weezing decks too, where you're kind of slowing down your opponent, and this was good with Clara. So this is, Clara late game, get your Moltres, get the energies, and away you go.
Yeah. Then we have Zoroark, I think. Zoroark.
Yeah, I mean there was single strike Umbreon, but it's not
Oh
great. But
yeah,
yeah,
you
Zor.
said you didn't include those. So.
Okay. Well, I don't see. I don't think of that as an evolution. Well, the evolutions are weird here because they don't actually evolve from Eevee, right? The
Yeah,
way
and
it
then like
is.
some are battle styles. It's kind of weird. But yeah,
Right.
anyway, Zoroark switches to different stage ones. It's kind of gimmicky. I feel like it had untapped potential. I'm sure I was one of those people saying that. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, people always are trying to make it work and failing. Speaking of failing, I think Rayquaza VMAX will get an honorable mention, if not a gold star for Pokemon that just didn't live up to the hype. And I don't think we need to say any more about it, do we?
Yeah, then we can say Draldon VMAX. That Flappl's okay. It was played in Zoroark and some different things, but
Right.
Draldon VMAX here walls off special energy Pokemon. Special energy Pokemon are pretty good. Its attack was fine. It was like pretty terrible before Arceus came out, but it wasn't that long. Or it's like super inconsistent. You played that deck. It was you didn't like do anything, but
Right.
yeah,
No,
it's
you could
fine.
play it. Right. Early days, you play it with like Zamazenta and try to get lucky and set
Yeah, and
up. But
like
then once
Zacian.
Arceus came out, it became it was a real deck and one I enjoyed playing. I think this is a strong card. Is what I'd say.
Yeah. Then we have, no colorless Pokemon doesn't look like that are super meaningful. Looking at trainers, anything particularly good here? Raihan is good. Yeah, Raihan's really good. If one of your Pokemon is knocked
Yes.
out last turn, you accelerate an energy and you search for any one card. You do need to accelerate the energy from the discard, but then you get any card. It's really strong.
Yeah, I closed my tab at a second, but yeah, Raihan's really good.
Oh, you want me to?
Rescue carrier as well.
Yeah. I think Raihan might. What's the top card? I really don't know. Um, this one feels pretty wide open. This set's definitely one of the ones without like the absolute top of the best of the best cards, but really good. Just below that, I'd actually say Raihan. It's really versatile. The decks that was focused in, that like really focused on it, weren't the top decks, but it was played in the top decks. It's like a one of or two of. Yeah, I think I'd go with Raihan.
Mhm. I'd say Raihan too. And it was in the type of decks we like too, right? Single prize decks and such really took advantage of Raihan. So I would go with Raihan.
Yeah. Okay. Your voice didn't sound so great. So I'll go with. Let's talk about Fusion Strike next. And so we have that set's really big and really bad, except for the few cards that are really good. I'll mention a few others first. There's Oricorio, that's fine. There is Inteleon VMAX, which is a cool card, but it's not the best. From this set, it's a pretty good card, a Rapid Strike card. It was fun. Buku with a fun ability. Crabominable V, a part of Snorlax and some different things. Mostly Snorlax, I feel like, is what I remember it for. There's some stuff to say about it, but it's not that interesting. And then there is look at the stuff that's not the big stuff
No,
first.
I mean, I think there's just 4 cards in this set that are worth talking about.
Yeah, I'll mention Gengar VMAX and wait, 4? Oh, Battle VIP Pass in the set. Yeah, forgot about that card. So yeah, that's search for 2 basics. Put it onto your bench. Can only be used turn 1 going first though.
I know, but it was played a lot. I mean, this one could be the top card in the set. I didn't think it was at first, but I could, this was played a lot, right?
Yeah. Wait, what are the 4? Mew, Genesect, and
I put Judge in, but it's not as good.
Oh, yeah, Judge is in this set. I forgot about that.
Judge was a meaningful card as well. So it probably comes down to Mew, VMAX, or Genesect V, though, right? And then it comes down to the debate of which one do you pick, right? I think that's where we're at for this set.
Yeah, well, I'd say Battle VIP Pass is so good. I didn't like it. I didn't really like Mew VMAX either. Mew VMAX, if you don't know, copies essentially Genesect V, which is 210. So it's like 210 for 2 colors on a stage 1. Your Genesect V ability allows you to draw like absurd amounts of cards throughout your turn, like theoretically people say 24, that's the number that they throw out, but you're probably drawing around 15 cards every turn through the use of Genesect Vs or something like that, maybe a little more. You certainly can draw like 20 in a turn, but
you know what, I don't want to say Genesect V or Mew because now I'm getting flashbacks to the time when because this is one of the decks with Mew Genesect that your opponent would go and they would start taking 5-minute turns. This is one of the early the decks that started that trend, right? Because they would just go through almost half their deck on their first turn.
Sounds like you're going with Genesect V because that's what did it. I don't want to say Battle VIP fast. I never do that card turn 1. It was terrible.
It was played a lot though. All right,
it was played more. I mean, I'd go with Genesect V.
Okay, and you don't want to say the Mew, right?
No, I think
Genesect V was the more critical card in the deck.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying drawing all these cards. That was Genesect V. Mew VMAX had, it was an attacker. It was the part of the deck, but it's not what was drawing all these cards.
Right, and it copied the attack of Genesect V like 90+% of the time. So Genesect V was kind of the attacker, even though it actually never attacked. It was kind of weird that way.
Yeah. Then we have, so I think we're good with that. Now we're moving to the cards that are in standard now. And these we don't need to talk about as much because people are more familiar with them. But Brilliant Stars, this one has, I'm just going to name the cards here. Lumineon V, search for supporter. You have wow, this set's not that good.
Well, you got Wormadam. Let's go Wormadam, right? It's got MTV. I'm making sure he gets in a shout out here because he is one of my boys.
Oh, there's Manaphy. I miss Manaphy.
Yes, Manaphy is definitely a mention there, as well as Lumineon V, right?
Yeah.
We got the Barrel, one of the top engines. So, and then Arceus V-Star. I don't know if you have anything before that. So.
Yeah, no, I don't. And then Choice Belt is the last one that I'd say.
Yeah, let's see.
Ultra Ball. Wait, Ultra Ball is in the set.
Oh, Ultra Ball. Yes, the Ultra Ball Double Turbo. Double
Turbo, yeah, I didn't see it.
So Double Turbo, Ultra Ball. We do have Magma Base and NTV, and they don't. Collapse Stadium is also an important card, though. It's not going to win, but. Yeah. So look, we got Lumineon V, huge. We got Arceus V-Star, huge. We got Ultra Ball, huge. It was a reprint, but it was out of format for a while, so it counted Ultra Ball.
Yeah, wait, do we count Ultra? So Ultra Ball is good in, like at the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, but are we counting that? Like it was still legal then, but it was reprinted. I don't know.
Well. Yeah, it counts for the play now because yes, I mean otherwise
it shouldn't count for now because this one rotated. But it should count till then. The Scarlet and Violet, I guess, is what you're saying.
Oh yes, yeah, okay. It counts for the whole time it was in format. Good point there.
And then Manaphy. Manaphy was so highly played, right? People just play Manaphy all the time.
Yeah. So Lumineon, wow. I mean, this is rough. So
I'd say Ultra Ball.
Okay. I mean, I could easily say Double Turbo, Arceus.
Double Turbo is good, very good.
Yeah,
but Ultra Ball is more versatile, right?
Yeah, no, all right, I can go with Ultra Ball. I mean, yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah, we're not
I
like
mean, not every deck
settling with
plays
Ultra
it,
Ball.
but
Well, yeah, but not
yeah.
every deck plays these other cards. More decks play Ultra Ball
No,
than this.
no,
Than
this,
those.
this is just a stack set. This is like since Sword and Shield, right? This was just a crazy good set.
Yeah, I didn't
That's what I'd
realize
say.
it was this good. The ninth set of the year often is as well. It's the first of the year, and sometimes some of those other cards are older cards are starting to rotate. But anyways, and then we have Astral
Right.
Radiance. Here we have Origin 4 Palkia V Star, Radiant Greninja, which is really good. You have the
Yeah.
Reggies. You have Dialga V Star, Origin 4
Yep.
Dialga V Star. You got Irida's good, and some trainers, some like good trainers in the set.
Yeah. You skipped over Miltank,
You
who
skipped over.
Miltank Blissey. Yeah, you got to go with that, but I know you don't have to go with it. And yeah, good trainers, right? Um,
Like decent
you
trainers.
well, Irida's a great trainer.
Yeah.
Hisuian Heavy Ball's a great trainer. So
Oh,
so
his
there's,
Student Heavy Ball. Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, look, just quickly going through Canceling Cologne, Meaningful, Silene, you play Control, you love it. Dark Patch, but that's type specific. We have Roxanne and Trekking Shoes as well.
Oh,
So
yeah, Roxanne's really good. Irida is type specific. You said it's like really good, but you said like Dark Patch, that's like type specific. Irida is type specific.
yeah,
Like,
but there's
mostly kind of, I guess.
but there's some decks play it. You need a bunch of dark attackers and energy to play Dark Patch, but you might only play Radiant Greninja and then get want to get your rare
Yeah,
candy or
that's
something,
true.
right?
Anyway, so I'd go with Radiant Greninja from the set. Hisuian Heavy Ball is the second card I'd go for.
Yeah, I think that's true. I agree with that. Which and Palkia obviously was really good,
Yeah.
but it doesn't get there. So yeah, Radiant Greninja, I think, just so versatile.
Yeah,
So
we were
gonna
talking
miss
about
that.
these cards somewhat recently as well with the Hall of Fame.
Right,
Then we got Lost Origin. We got the Lost Zone stuff. Like all the Lost Zone stuff is in this set.
right.
Which I won't name because I don't remember all of them and I don't feel like it. And then we have
Well, okay. So with the Lost Zone, besides the Cramorant, the Sableye, the Comfey, Colorless Experiment, you do have Rotom V, which is technically a Lost Zone card, but very good.
mhm.
And we also have Giratina V Star, Lost Zone card, but it's not right. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily
that's like
that, but
somewhat
it's
yeah. And then Lost Vacuum. Lost Vacuum is really good. Or it's like it's good.
right.
Um, I'd almost want to say Lost Vacuum here to be honest.
Well, so what else do we
Yeah,
have
is there
here?
anything
That was
else?
Gudra, Lost City's important.
Yeah.
Mirage Gate actually is very important for Lost Zone. So
Yeah.
I mean, it could be Giratina, V Star.
Hey, I'd
It's
be
hard
fine with that. That was really good for a while.
um, or you want to do Lost Vacuum? I'll let you pick on that one.
Yeah, sure. I'll go Giratina. We've gone with so many trainers. It doesn't matter really that much, but yeah, I'll take Giratina. This is like kind of weird. Has Lost Zone. Lost Zone like went away essentially instantly. It's only printed in one set, essentially. But yeah, Giratina we
Yeah,
started.
and the Lost Zone was good, but it's also hard to pick like what card you pick because it's such a package too.
Yeah. Then we have the last set of the year, Silver Tempest, which it had the Amoonguss, that discards your opponent's entire hand. But yeah, you have a Lone Wolf Star, which is okay. It's like kind of good. Radiant Alakazam. Um, you have Radiant Jirachi. I did not like that card. And then Regidrago V Star, which is good. Then you have Lugia and Archeops, and then Forest Seal Stone. Those are the big ones.
You do it. We have the good Curlia with Refinement.
Oh yeah, that's a good card too. Which was played non-Gardevoir some, mostly playing Gardevoir, but played in other stuff.
Right, but that was a top deck played a lot, so it's
Yeah.
worth mentioning for sure. Yeah, I mean, probably it's gonna be Forest Seal Stone, right? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
Lugia Archeops was huge. Yeah, I think we're gonna say Forest Seal Stone, right? I don't think there's
Yeah,
much
it's like Archeops is
argument on
really good,
that.
but yeah, Force Seal Stone's amazing. We talked about it before. We talked about it a lot. I mean, it's really good. And yeah, it was instantly super impactful. But
Right. I mean, Regidrago V Star is very good too, right?
yeah, it's good now, or it's pretty good now. It was good sometimes. It wasn't good when it came out, though. It was just pretty terrible.
It was tough. You kind of had getting it powered up wasn't great. I guess Arceus was the way to go, but yeah, Forest Seal
And the
Stone.
attackers also weren't as good at the time. You didn't have like Dragapult or Kyurem, which are really strong and yeah.
Yeah, so no, yeah, Forest Seal Stone. Just as long as you have a V Pokemon in your deck, you are playing this.
Yeah. Unless
Especially
you're
because
using
you're
a
not
certain V-Star power, which isn't super. Like you're not pairing with Lugia, obviously.
right, not with Lugia, but outside of but there aren't many decks where you're relying on V Star powers these days.
Mhm.
There were earlier on though, of course. So yeah. So there we have it. So we got Quick Ball, Boss's Orders, Crobat V. I mean, yeah. Snorlax with the Gormadize. I'm sure that hurts you to hear that. Level Ball, Path to the Peak, Raihan, which I always, I think we both missed that a ton. Genesect V, Ultra Ball, Radiant Greninja, Giratina V-Star, and Forest Seal Stone. So, a really good set of cards.
Yeah, and Snorlax with Gormadize. I guess if we went mini sets, we'd have a better Snorlax with Pokemon Go Snorlax.
I guess that just proves how bad Vivid Voltage was, right? The fact that is arguably the best card in the set.
Yeah, but Sword and Shield are pretty fun. If you haven't played with those cards, you can do it on you can do it on live expanded. Though I wouldn't super recommend that. Or you could do it on P2G Sim. I think it is fine as well. It's not a great way to do it. You can't just hop on in live and just play this era, but there's some really cool cards here that are, as we talked about, like kind of similar to some stuff, some interesting like history lessons as well in there. I don't know if that bored people, but figured I wanted to talk about that. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. Consider liking, subscribing. Hopefully we're not sick again next time, as we were both sick, but we hope you enjoyed, and as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Hey, take care.